You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people-of-color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only aftershow, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include funerals, grief, death of loved ones, heights, complex relationships, romance, sexual references, blood, and body horror. Arc 2, Episode 32. May Her Death Remind. From Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chung. As the Emperor's announcement winds to a close, all of you realize that the funerary procession has already begun. Music swallows the Emperor's voice, and this, too, is simply just a part of the song. Longdu leads the gods out of the Hall of Peerless Destiny, holding a stick of incense flanked by her virtue, the little soul of change. They are followed by gods of music and assembly, beating celestial drums, clanging on cymbals, blowing into loud, brassy, mournful suona, double-reeded horns that sound like mountain lions weeping. The four cymbals follow closely behind, and then the rest of the City of Heaven, yourselves included, as you process out of the hall and through the Azure complex. Your path is lined with garlands of yellow chrysanthemums and pure white lilies. The imperial gates droop with gold and diamond blooms, as does the rest of the city, all the way up the oscillating peaks that lead toward Tandu Fun. As you walk up this wooded mountain path, the gods around you begin to wail. This loud sound vibrates against the music, and it too is just another part of the song. They start screaming, weeping, sobbing openly, wearing their grief on their sleeves like a funeral sash, the grief that they've not allowed themselves to feel for thousands and thousands of years. Xainan, where do we find you amidst the procession winding its way up the mountain path?
I think a little to the side. He isn't not moving, obviously, but he isn't doing anything extremely outward. He's mostly watching. Again, not sure where to touch the grief that is being expressed, and keeps on thinking about what the Emperor said, the opportunity to grieve.
And that's when you feel a light touch on your elbow that traces you down the arm until Longhui, the heavenly liaison, is standing in front of you. And their hand is extended, and the serpent around their neck flicks its pink tongue in and out of its white mouth. And Longhui says, "May I trouble you for a dance, Xainan Esh?"
You absolutely can, Longhui.
And Longhui pulls you into a dance amongst everyone else who's moving and dancing and wailing and weeping and singing all around you as you parade up the mountain. And she pulls you into a dance that is striking and intense, but also intimate, carefully stepped. And as the two of you sway and move to the rhythms of the cymbals and the drums and the pipa, as well as the suona, Longhui cocks his head to the side, flicks their eyes above your head, and then back down at you. Your final words have changed.
As he's moving, a smile, not of joy, but of just relief, starts to cross his face as he is moving, dancing with Longhui, with this god. He's almost startled to remember that he has words at all, because he was so lost in the moving the feeling, the lightness that just a moment ago felt impossible, from walking all the way down from the White Forge to the Hall of Peerless Destiny, the hill that he's climbed up and down since we've been in the city, that he's belabored every step of the way. And here he feels light, but not like a ghost. And he raises his hand to his temple where that glowing orange strike still burns. I think it wasn't the moment.
Something about you is different, Xainan. The man I met in that nightmare is not the man that stands before me now. Those ghosts that have surrounded you this whole time, they're gone.
I thought maybe they were just... They're gone.
Yes.
They tried to take me with them.
Oh. And yet you stand before us. I see the choice you've made. The ghosts are gone, Xainan Esh, but they are not away. There is a difference. You might not be able to see them anymore, but they're always with you. And you'll find them again, in your own way.
If you don't mind, I have a strange question for you.
Oh, you are full of strange questions. Ask away.
What does it mean when there are no ghosts?
Then it means you are alone. Truly and fully alone. You know that haunting is not evil now. You know that haunting is just another word for grief, which is just another word for love. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by you being a different man. I don't think the man that faced me in that dream could understand that. But you do now.
Last words are just echo. Right?
An echo, a scream into the void, a eulogy. They are whatever you want them to be. They are whatever they need to be. It's different for every person.
There's a hefty weight to carry, but you dance with it well.
Thank you. You know, I was reigning dance champion in the underworld before I came up here, but my approach to movement is rather different from the divines of the city. I've had to learn to fit in. Thank you. You know, that's the thing about fitting in, Xainan. I am the heavenly liaison, and I am known for my eyes. I paint them on every surface. I travel, no doubt you saw them in the gambling hall and all over the Black River. I see everything that happens in the city. I saw everything that happened in the underworld as well. The thing about witnessing is, I used to think it was a passive act, that I was above it all, apart from it all, outside from the things I was seeing. But that's not true. To witness is not the same as merely watching. It is an act of participation. It is an act of implication. By thinking of witnessing as simply passive, I'm realizing now that I've robbed myself of the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than just me. It was like this when I was a mortal seeking immortality because I felt dissatisfied. It was like this when I was a demon seeking divinity because I felt dissatisfied. I thought becoming virtue would fill that hole inside of me. But these nightmares have shown me my darkest side as well. That I was the one preventing myself. being a part of a community. So I see you standing on the outskirts of this mourning, and you don't need to join the wailing, or the singing, or even the dancing, if you don't want to, because all of this is for the people who are still alive as much as it is for the ghosts who have left us. The fact that you're here in the first place, Xainan, that alone invites the possibility that maybe one day you'll join the procession like everyone else. Or join it in your own way. The choice is yours. You just need to be here.
Thank you. I don't plan on running away from where I'm meant to be.
Good. Oh, you know, if we had more time, I would have really loved to show you just how soft my bed is. Settle that bet once and for all.
Yeah, well, you'll have to have a outstanding debt to a mere cultivator.
Perhaps I will. And I always make good on what I owe. This might be goodbye, but it doesn't have to be farewell.
It's I'll see you again.
Perhaps you will. But in the meantime, you'll find me in the flicker of every coin, in the eye that lurks in every shadow, and in the ghosts that whisper your name.
That's weirdly comforting. You have a wonderful and ominous sense of humor, Lung Hui.
Well then, Weiba has something she would like to say to you. And the tail, which is also a snake, which has always been a part of Longhui this entire time, the serpent kind of winds its way forward and flicks its tongue against your cheek, cocks her head to the side, and then retreats back around Longhui's shoulders.
What a wonderful place to be, on the shoulder of a god.
Perhaps one day you'll find out what that feels like. But until then, Xainan Ash. And Xainan, as we pull away from this moment between you and Longhui dancing in this intimate, intense duet, among the other mourners, we hear Chunxing's voice, the head administrator. They are the loudest. Their wails are the most guttural. Their sobs are the deepest and the most baleful. They are hunched over as they process with the other gods, these bright azure tears flowing down their cheeks. But they also look free. For the first time, truly, Chunxing looks free. Free of their responsibilities, free to acknowledge their pain, free to let go, free to cry and scream alongside Mingyu and Wei Jun, those sisters once taken by the mist. And as we push through this procession, Seir, where do we find you among the mourners?
Seir is probably betwixt the distance between himself and Xainan and himself and Lumira. Both of them just at the edge of his peripheral vision so that he can see them. And instead of wearing his usual sash, he unfurls it out of its knot and dresses it over his shoulder and allowing the fabric to fall past his chest. He then begins to move amidst the crowd. Oh, hello. Okay, you've made your point. Apologies for Doggy. Doggy cameo. Doggy has opinions. He just allows himself to kind of be amongst the center of the crowd, feeling their bodies like bump into his for moments at a time, their wails, their singing. And he's cradling actually something in his hand, an effigy that he asked Lupa to make of a longsword.
Seir, as you cradle this paper longsword, moving in the center of these mourners, you can feel it. You. Him. Inside your chest. The doom that has been with you this whole time. And the emotion that surrounds you, from the wailing, from the singing, from the dancing, it swirls around your soul, swirls around your limbs, your skin, deep into your blood, your bone, and compels you to move. So how does this movement take shape?
He felt this a long time ago. What feels like eternity. It always comes back whenever she was here. When Sing would work in unison with Seir, there's something inside the both of us that just sung, burned, and moved in unison. And I think as Seir succumbs, we see him push his black hair back, taking in a breath of the incense into his lungs. And coming out are these forceful, almost martial arts steps. These are aggressive, violent almost, stomps and movements of a dance. And in his mind's eye, he remembers their story. The story of the twins, of the children of fate. Children of fate. And as he dances their story, the birth of the elder fated one, the delayed entrance of the doomed one. And he dances through their youth amidst the teachers and throes of trance. He moves elegantly in one end, and once adolescence hits, his movements become even more solid, like that of a bulwark. But he's dancing one half of a dance. It feels like there's space on the left-hand side of him. Someone who's meant to connect these hand movements, these gestures. There are moments where Seir opens his eyes as if greeting a shadow that isn't there. Like a conversation is meant to happen in these steps, but none occurs. But he continues this dance nonetheless until it reaches its conclusion. A lance through the chest, which he pushes forward, out an arm outside of his chest. And he crumples for a moment, resting on one knee, and he stops, waiting for the procession to go, his other hand gripping onto the longsword effigy for dear life. Where does he go from here? This is the end of the story, right?
No. This is just the start. And you hear this voice brimming in your chest, vibrating through your antlers. Now, we can finally begin.
So you're here too. And Seir slowly gets up. A darkness kind of colors the forehead of his face, hiding his expression. And he looks at Nova, Lumira on the left-hand side, Xainan on the right. And then he looks at the longsword, and for a moment he sees a flash of pink. As he thinks of her and her memory. You're right about one thing. It is the beginning. For what I will honor for her.
Seir, you finish dancing one half of a duet, and you feel her in every interrupted moment, every pause where they should move and you should wait, and every breath you take that should be shared between the two of you. How interesting it is that now you only feel Sing in the negative spaces. There is wailing here, everywhere. But just like you, there is also dancing. There is also laughter. The divinity of this procession is as thick as a choking mist, as bright as a parhelion. And as we push away from Seir, we see bodies weaving, moving, becoming. We see Luhua dancing among so many other gods, a spark amidst the gloom. Ta moves in imperfect, chaotic rhythm to the sound of the clashing cymbals and the roaring flutes. She laughs and dances and sings and wails, tears flowing down her cheeks as she twirls from god to god, symbol to symbol, friend to friend, and everyone holds her. Lumira, where do we find you in this procession of death and grief?
Lumira is exactly where Seir said she was. Right off in his peripheral, not far from the rest of her strike team, but still a bit separate enough that she feels it. She's dressed in all white. Flowy white blouse and a long white skirt that brushes the floor with every step she takes. Her hair's kind of pulled up off of her shoulders, and she's carrying an umbrella that matches her outfit and the set piece that is around her head holding her hair up. It almost looks like it's a tiara, a flower tiara that's been weaved with purple orchids as well as pink cherry blossoms. And the umbrella matches in those same colors, adorned with purple orchids and pink cherry blossoms. And what should be mournful, for some reason the music, it settles and resonates deep within the core of her, and she can't help but dance, two-stepping, just bopping from side to side, lifting her skirt with her left gold gilded hand with every step she takes as she slides. She's dancing, and the umbrella is bopping in her right hand right along with her. And every turn or so that she makes, you see settled right behind her in the back of her skirt. It's a little flash of what looks like pink tissue paper and a bit of cherry blossoms. Her effigy, but she keeps it to herself for now. And she just dances. Because while this is also a funerary procession and it's for mourning, something in her can't help but feel that this is also a celebration of life, of journey, of what was, and everything that could be because of it as well. It's a bittersweet mix of both. And she can't help but to be drawn to it.
Lumira, with every step you take as you dance, your skirts kind of billow around your ankles, and something else also starts flaring around your movements. With every step, you see your foot hitting the ground and lighting up in these clockwork golden patterns of magic that pulse and then fade with every new movement as you feel the grief, yes, this overwhelming grief flow through you, but also this joy. Because it's not just about mourning here and grieving and being stately and contained, it's about letting loose and celebrating. Celebrating everything that has happened, the life that was lived, alongside this new journey that these ghosts are now embarking upon to the underworld, to oblivion. It is sorrowful, deeply sorrowful, but there is also joy here. There is also ecstasy and euphoria. And as you dance along this path of memory itself, you recognize that it's also mourning, which is also love. And with every step you take as you twirl and do your two-step and move the umbrella and dance and move your body in rhythm to the drums and the cymbals and the flutes, you can hear voices. Voices of the gods around you, yes, lifting up in song, but also voices swirling upward from the clockwork gears of your steps. Voices that are so familiar, but whose names you still can't place, you can't quite remember. But in this moment, that doesn't even matter. What matters is that they are harmonizing with the rhythms of your body. Though your mind can't remember it, your body does. And a dance comes over you that you were never taught, but that you intuitively know. And as you dance, you spin, and there she is, drooling. The gentlewoman scholar, dancing in tandem in rhythm, crying. Yes, her face is open and wet with tears, but she's also smiling and laughing, and she is like a radiant, weeping sun. And then she's with you, and she's swept you into a duet with permission, with a smile, with gratitude. And she says, "May I?"
Why do you even ask?
Come here. And she pulls you in and swirls you through all of the dancing mourners in this procession as you hear the clashing of cymbals and the beating of drums. And for a moment, she doesn't say much to you, because you've already said goodbye. You've already said your farewells back at the hot spring, but this is extra time you get to savor with each other before you depart. And she says, deeply, intimately against your ear, "Thank you, Lumira. Thank you for saving the Emperor's life."
When I last sang, I made a vow. I made a vow to myself, to the journey, and to fate. As long as I lived, I would never feel that hurt again. And I would never let anyone else feel that either. So you don't have
I
to
feel
thank
as-
me. You never have to thank me. Only doing what I swore.
I feel as though it's not you who has to beg the fates for help, it's fate who has to beg you for mercy along your vow.
She would be so lucky.
Well, you will have my gratitude forever, because you've given me something that is invaluable. You've given me a chance to say what I need to say before it's too late.
That's partially why I did it. And Lumira will step into her personal space just a bit more, looking up at the gentlewoman scholar. You have to tell her how you feel. I didn't do this for nothing.
I know. I will.
I mean
And
it.
that's a promise.
And when Drilling says promise, Lumira once again quirks her eyebrow. Like, do you promise, or is it a fake promise?
you don't have to say it. She follows up upon seeing your expression and says, I don't make promises lightly. I bind myself with it.
Lumira grins.
An oath for an oath.
An oath for an oath.
Come, there is much to celebrate, there is much to mourn. And she pulls you into a frenetic, wailing, loudly whooping dance alongside the rest of the musicians and the rest of the gods.
1 second. And
She pauses.
in the midst of all of this, Lumira will reach up with both of her hands and with consent kiss Drilling.
Drilling,
last
of
time.
course, lets you. She kisses you back for that final time. And the kiss is deep and full of love and full of bittersweetness of what could have been if you had just a little bit more time. And full of your oath and full of her oath. And it lasts forever. And it lasts no time at all. And then the two of you break apart. You're struck with a memory of how similar and how so very different that kiss was from the kiss you shared with the Chosen One. And then there's no time to linger on that as Drilling swirls you back into the dance, back into the fray, whooping and wailing and crying and moving. And amidst this procession, as you vanish into the crowd, we find Strike Team Phoenix. We see Cove marching alongside the Wailers, not screaming herself, not dancing, not singing, but weeping. Weeping openly, tears streaming down her stately, statuesque face, flowing into the helm that she holds in her hands. A helm that brims with yellow chrysanthemums tied with a single ribbon of pink. Her greatsword is peace-tied around her back, and the rest of her team marches beside her, Amaru, Ash, and Naeem. And then we push to the very front of this procession where we see Xiaocheng. They are laughing, they're crying, they're singing, they're dancing, yes, dancing, twirling, spinning, clapping their hands and stomping their feet to the rhythm of the drums, the rhythm of grief and love and heartbreak and song welling up from these celestial instruments. And then Ansha is there, twirling them, also crying, also laughing, and then they're dancing together, their foreheads touching in an intimate moment. The lesson has been learned. Xiaocheng's journey has been embarked upon, and their future is open. And your oracle, in the form of a perfectly spherical orange, swirls around Ansha and Xiaocheng, chirping with delight. And as the procession crests the top of Tandu Fun, the oracle says in a voice only the three of you can hear, "Mission complete!" Tandu Fun is exactly as you left it. The ancient temple at its peak, the weathered pillars of flaking crimson. The great sage Hopching stands outside the temple, hands clasped behind his back, regarding the procession with a humorous but also careful consideration. There's no need for conversation between the emperor and the sage. Hopching simply nods, turns, and leads the parade deeper into the temple himself. You march past ancient murals stretching from floor to ceiling, stone carvings of the devouring, of the amethyst dragon vanquishing her foes. You march past the shrine at the back of the temple, through a sparsely traveled corridor teeming with cobwebs, and out into a vast courtyard. Above your heads, the night sky brims with stars that also look like they're weeping. And in the center of this courtyard, you see a massive ritual ding, which is an ancient round vessel shaped from bronze, standing on three stately legs, with intricate carvings of the sister realms across its body. A fire has already been lit within its depths in anticipation of your arrival, and next to this vessel, there is a wooden altar laden with ashen incense holders. Longdu stops in front of this courtyard, an inexplicable look coming over her face. And then Ta steps forward and places that ever-burning stick of incense they've been holding this entire time into one of the many holders. And then they turn to face this vessel. Within the folds of her pure white robes, she produces her 2 effigies, a paper dragon and a paper Telian. And the immortal emperor places these tokens into the vessel with great love and sorrow and care. She watches as the flames within begin to devour the paper. And she speaks in a voice that is so low and intimate and deeply mortal. For the mortal stories we once shared, to our mortal blood, forever intertwined. Next to approach the ding is Xiaochang, who places a paper orange within, for their former name. And then the 4 symbols, and then the rest of the gods of the City of Heaven. As the divines start to burn effigies for those lost during the devouring, sending their essences to the spirits and the taken, Longdu and Xiaochang walk forward and approach a standing paifang at the other end of this courtyard. And this paifang is an open-ended archway with pillars of silver and amethyst and a tiered roof of pure jade. It overlooks a massive cliff at the end of the courtyard where the entire City of Heaven is barely visible through an ocean of nighttime mist. And from the folds of her robes, Longdu produces one of the shattered shards of the river gourd. Xiaocheng holds out their hand and grasps one end of this river seal, and Longdu holds the other end. Together, they raise their arms and magic pulses forward toward the gate. Mist swirls between the stately pillars like a dream coalescing. And then it clarifies, and on the other side, we now see Yaolan. We see it from the perspective of a red-crowned crane soaring high above the cradle. You see sweeping glades of emerald, tilled farmlands, winding rivers, rugged mountains. It is a realm of bounty and magic, a realm that has been recently sundered by the god's disappearance. The procession toward the ritual ding pauses for just a second as all eyes turn toward the newly opened ascension gate. And Longdu speaks, still holding the river seal. Now that the mist has been freed, it will be harder for us to travel between the realms. We had to break the world to save it. But together, we can help mend what was once shattered. On this day, we shall process into Yaolan to do as we ought, to heal the scars we've wrought upon mortal hearts. This, too, is part of the game. This, too, is our responsibility as the divines. We cannot rewrite the past, but we may yet change the future. And one by one, the gods of the city burn their effigies, approach the ascension gate, and step through, vanishing with a ripple of magic and a breath of mist. The 4 symbols take their places beside the Emperor and her virtue, as they hold the gate open for all the gods of heaven to pass through. This is a process that will take time. There are 10,842 gods in the City of Heaven, and 1 demon. So Strike Team Nova, you have the room for a ritual of your own before you approach the vessel and the gate, if you so would like.
Xainan stopped witnessing a long time ago. He danced. The walking alone was exertion that made him heave, and this time not angry about it, but to experience being here, being with all these people who are going to be hoarse if they were mortal tomorrow, feeling that drive. And first he was thinking about the marks that he wears on his face, his ever-present eulogy to those that he loves. But that's not a funeral. Every funeral he's ever been to was quiet. And he immerses himself in the sound, and as he does, he pulls the cherry blossom from the brim of his hat that appeared to him in a dream in the wild sea. on his bathroom counter when he was first applying the new markings for her. And he looks around at the beautiful view and up at the stars. And he walks over to Seir first. Lumira very shortly thereafter. I have something if you want to.
What is it?
And he holds his hand out with this cherry blossom. Fresh as the day it fell from the chosen one on the wild sea. Will you plant her with me?
And Seir's taken aback. We see the mourning young man recede to a boy as he looks at you. Of course, he whispers like a prayer as he steps forward towards you, these bright blue eyes following you, and turns around to look at Lumira and reach a palm out.
Lumira will grab your hand and faster than she can think or you can wrap your head around, she interlaces her fingers with yours. Grips your hand tighter. She comes closer.
And he gently escorts you down towards where Xainan is, his hands holding the same tension that yours holds in him. Together again, both of you. And as his breath hitches in his throat, he just gently guides you towards where Xainan is.
Where he's been digging a hole.
And he rests his other hand on your shoulder, leaning down.
I have these. And Lumira will reach behind her in the back of her skirt and pull out. It looks like a bunch of pink tissue paper mache almost hexagons, each inladen with a cherry blossom directly in the middle. This was her preferred form of travel. I figured
Those are for her.
I figured she could use a little extra boost. That's all.
If I learned nothing being here in all this, nothing from her, it's that she should be everywhere.
She is.
We
Everywhere.
carry her. We carry her with us.
We'll never stop.
We'll show her the beautiful stars up here. And he holds his hand out with the cherry blossom to the both of you, offering it.
Lumira will grab it.
Together. As Seir reaches out and he puts his hands, his very large hand, beneath the both of yours that share this cherry blossom. Together. As Nova.
As Nova.
Together.
And And as a trio, the three of you lower this cherry blossom into the hole in the ground, into this earth, this loam that Xainan has cleared for you. And together with your three hands, you gently plant this cherry blossom and scoop the dirt over it in this divine courtyard at the very top of heaven. And then it's time, Strike Team Nova, for you to burn your effigies, for you to burn your offerings for Sing. Which one of you approaches the vessel first?
I think Xainan, after putting his hands in the dirt, feeling that sense of home, he knows his place here. It isn't just to watch. It's to be the mentor. To go first. To set the example. And what he has will hopefully light the way. He steps forward, and his effigy seems to have been pretty small or tucked in a pocket or something the whole trip up here. And he reaches into the obi of his kimono and produces a small, thin box. It looks like it should be like a cricket cage or something like that, but it's just a light box. And inside are small twists of paper. They're not nicely folded. They're like, they're twisted, and then over the top are two beautifully folded wings over each and every one, and it's a box of them. They look like flies. And he smiles down at these paper flies and walks up to the fire, looks into it. But they're not for the fire either. He looks up to the stars. And now he's at a funeral. One that he understands. And he opens the box just like he has more than once in his life, to let out the fireflies, to guide the souls to the stars. And he pours this box of twisted little pieces of paper with beautifully folded wings that Luha made into the flames. And they spill in, but they never reach the bottom. As the paper burns, sparks begin to fly up, 1, 2, and it's like the paper's too light, but they keep going up, so that wherever she is, there are fireflies to guide her to the stars. The same stars that we see everywhere. And he watches them go, nods, and then steps back, never far, just to be a hand, eyes, to be there.
These paper fireflies take flight. They burn. And they turn into bright, brilliant crimson motes of light that rise up, up, up into the sky until they join that legion of stars beyond the beyond. Seir and Lumira, which of you is next?
Did you want to go first, Sam?
I'll go. Lumira will step up to the fire, and you can see it, the daises that she holds in her hand. Her hands are shaking. And she just stares at the fire for a second. Her eyes wide and frantic, looking around as if trying to find some escape from this last final piece. But when she can't find one, she steels herself, taking a deep, shuddering breath. And she looks at the dais in her hand and realizes it's not complete yet. Not the way she needs it to be. So she takes out her gift from Zherling, the pen, with ink that's made from the ashes of the letter she first burnt to Sing. And in her impeccably neat Lumièra handwriting, she scribbles across the top of it, "I will love you until I meet oblivion myself." Love always. Lumira. And when she's done, she'll press a kiss to the middle of it, not really worried about whether or not it smudges the ink. And she holds it over the flame for a second, almost as if she's scared to drop it in before the flames catch it themselves and take it from her, and she'll drop it. And if you listen closely, you can hear the way her breath hitches. And she stifles whatever was getting ready to bubble out before she steps away, holding herself, not really making eye contact.
She steps away and there's a hand outstretched to catch her. An offer.
She'll take it. I think
You
she
just-
takes it before she realizes.
Steadies her. Deep breath.
And Seir steps up, slow, sure-footed, towards where the effigies burn. And he cradles this long sword like it's a wee babe, like precious cargo. Like how he cradled her in the wild sea. And he steps finally on this dais, surrounded by Nova in this moment of peace on her day. No, her funeral. And it feels right. It feels right. We're all here. We can finally get through this together. We can do this together. And he looks down at the sword, pulls his hand outward, holding the sword by a hilt, the blade pointing downward, as he plants it into the pot, as if planting it into soil, into grass, into tree or root, like in the wild sea. And as he lets the flames lick his hand, feeling the heat, and he swears, feeling the fire lick him. I will always carry you with me. In my soul, in my heart, in the whole of my being. Not even oblivion can hold us apart. And he realizes we're all here, as his other hand instinctively fishes into an area of his satchel and pulls out a crumpled little note. Everyone's here, and he feels brave enough now. As he says the forgotten speech that he couldn't say before. My sister said we were brought into this journey together. That we will walk this journey together. I think that's all I ever wanted. To walk with her. To feel the radiant sun at my side until oblivion would take me. I feel her still. In my emptiness, like the cold you feel when twilight arrives and the sun hits you. She is my sun, my world, my joy, and my bride. And I am her shadow, and I am her moon, and I often wonder where does shadow go without the light. But maybe shadow remembers the light. Waiting, longing, waiting for its touch. They're together always, light and shadow. We will be together always, light and shadow. I love you, Sig. And he lets that paper go as well, alongside the sword, as a little ember catches it in midair and burns it to cinder. And Seir steps back.
Come here. And Xainan holds out his other hand.
And Seir takes it, leading into your hold and your touch. You feel this heavy-set man lean probably half his weight onto your small frame. As he sighs and this breath leaves him.
And Xainan just pats your back. Slow, gentle, present.
The smoke from your combined effigies soars up, up, up into that endless darkness that is the sky above your heads. That is fate. Oblivion. Everything. Nothing. Your gifts travel through the journey, and perhaps they do reach their destination. Because somewhere beyond the beyond, Sing smiles. Strike Team Phoenix reaches the Ascension Gate before you do. The mist thickens between those pillars of silver and amethyst, and when they clear, you see not the sister realms beyond that Paifang, but a chamber within the Transplanar Reification and Nourishment Syndicate. An office, to be exact. Lucy's office. A decadent lair with stone murals and incense holders and a carving of a many-armed demon. The Hand of Fate is nowhere to be seen, which makes Strike Team Phoenix sag with relief. And Naeem quickly turns to the Emperor and, by way of explanation, says, Amethyst Dragon, this locale is a hidden mortal chamber deep within the mines of the Kingdom of Tia. That's why it appears so odd and anachronistic and... But Xiao Cheng cuts in with a smile. Oh, yes, of course, the Kingdom of Tia. No need to explain. We understand. And to their credit, Naeem decides not to push any further, and he bows in the direction of the Emperor and her virtue. Thank you, O Grand Adjudicator, for being such a generous and venerable host to us unworthy cultivators. It has been an honor to assist you in your efforts to bring harmony to the Sister Realms, no matter how humble our attempts have been. And Longdu smiles. Don't speak so lowly of yourselves, Strike Team Phoenix. Now go. Go home. Naeem, who froze upon the Strike Team name, gives a smile and then nods. And then he turns to face the three of you. See you on the other side, Nova.
See you there. And Xainan gives him a little wink.
Naeem lets out a tight little exhale but doesn't admonish you in front of everyone. And with that, Strike Team Phoenix turns and steps through the Ascension Gate, and they vanish. And now it's your turn. The mist swirls once more as you approach, and when it clears, it reveals a different part of the Syndicate. Not any of your personal chambers or bedrooms, not the training arenas you're so used to, not even Artemis's office. It reveals the Hall of Heroes. And as it does, your oracle swirls into existence in the middle of your party with a puff of citrus smoke.
Oh, thank fate! You know, I really had no idea how we were gonna get home from here. And I'm pretty hungry, so can we go home now?
Lumira, as you reach forward and drop ball bearings into the oracle's form, there's a crunching noise as always.
Oh, thank you. But I want something more delectable from the Syndicate's kitchens.
Well, let's go home then.
So tell me,
Nova?
Strike Team Nova, how do you say your final goodbyes to the Sister Realms?
Lumira turns and looks out at everyone around, making direct eye contact. She wipes her face and smiles before bowing as gracefully and as deeply as her current state allows her to. She doesn't say much else, but in that bow you can feel and see everything that she's trying to get across.
Xainan looks up at the stars, looks at the mist, that place of dreams, magic, nightmares. Place that made everything make sense for a moment in a way that a decade at Trans hadn't. And that pull, the thing that the ghosts were trying to take him to, the thing that Huck Ching drove into his skull, home, calls out to Xainan, and he steps towards the gate. Takes his hat off, and bows, not extremely deeply. He's still a little uneasy on his feet. He did get cracked in the head by, the hammer of creation. But he bows to the Emperor, and then he turns and bows to Xiao Chang. Thank you. It has been an honor.
Before the Emperor and Xiaocheng respond, Seir, how do you say goodbye?
Seir looks across the city of heaven from the peak of Tandu Fun, and his eyes linger on the symbols. Of course, on Lu Hua. He shares a bright-eyed look and a smile as he salutes each of them with his hands folded to each of the symbols, the gods that are present, to Xiao Cheng, and to the amethyst dragon themselves, bows towards them. And as he looks over at Xiao Cheng, I'm glad we could help you.
And Xiao Cheng smiles at the three of you, and their eye is welling with tears. Thank you, all of you, for helping me. I thought I was screaming into an abyss for help, but I wasn't. You came. It wasn't fate or coincidence. It was the three of you. And I couldn't have done this without you. I know that to be true. So thank you, all of you, deeply from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And may you all break a few plates getting to where you need to go, as I have learned that I should do. Twinzing, the head administrator, steps forward. They are still broken open, loose, liberated, but smiling, the abacus hanging at their side from a woven piece of twine. And the head administrator says, "Thank you, cultivators, for the help you have rendered the City of Heaven, and for the help you have personally rendered to me. I know you were just doing your jobs, but thank you. Truly." And next to step forward is Langhui, with that snake twirling around their shoulders, and she says, "I have seen many things in this city, but I don't know if I've ever witnessed cultivators acting like you all have. And I don't know if I ever will again. So thank you, and journey well." The gentlewoman scholar is the next to step forward. The proud, strong, confident stance that still betrays gratitude. "You know, truth be told, I wasn't sure what to make of the three of you at first, given our first impressions. But you have done more than prove yourselves. You have my gratitude. You have my loyalty. And that is a rare feat." And Luhua steps forward, the big smile, their eyes still brimming with tears. "Thank you, cultivators, for helping my mentor see the truth. For giving her a second chance. You know, not many people would have. So, I will always remember your kindness. I will always remember your courage." And Ansha wraps an arm around Xiao Cheng's waist and pulls them in gently, with a smile toward the three of you. "Thanks for the adventure, cultivators, and the snacks." And his eyes linger on you, Xainan, for a second, with a small wink. "And don't worry, it's my turn to take care of Xiao Cheng. They're in good hands." And finally, the Emperor steps forward, still holding one end of that shard alongside Xiao Cheng. "This is goodbye, cultivators. But this is not farewell. Should you ever need our help, you know where to find us. And I hope that one day, all of us can repay the favor."
Lumira bows one more time, smiling a bit more genuinely this time, before her eyes lock on Xiao Cheng one last time. "Ease your grief. Change is fate. Journey well."
Journey well. You truly have picked up a thing or two during your travels here in the Sister Realms. And one last tip, just, from a friend to another friend, be careful about who you let the Oracle talk to, because it told me everything about trans. Just so you know.
Oracle!
What? Who said that? Let's go through! Whee!
And the Oracle is the first to just go through the gate. And the Emperor lets out a chuckle at that. And the Emperor, very slightly, but still in an intentional gesture, inclines her head toward the three of you as a marker of respect, and then holds the river seal out toward the gate for your final journey out of the City of Heaven.
Xainan steps up to it, his hat off. The stars still glistening in his now 2 different eyes. And he, for the first time since that new statue was erected, steps in to the Hall of Heroes.
Seir and Lumira, the two of you follow Xainan. You cross the threshold of the Paifang, and you step into the Hall of Heroes. And with that, the sister realms are left behind. The mist swirls. There is a pulse of magic around all of you, as you feel the eyes, the gaze, the hopes, and the witnessing of the gods leaving you behind. And when you step back into trance, Sing's statue is exactly where you left it. It holds a place of honor in the Hall of Heroes. It is larger than life. It is carved from pure marble. She looks so much like herself, and nothing like herself at all. The base of this statue is laden with gifts, fruits, coins, incense, letters, roses. Aside from these offerings, there's no one else here. No one else but the three of you. What final moment does Strike Team Nova share with each other at the end of this arc?
I think Lumira stands a bit behind Seir and Xainan, still in an unsure way if she can fully step in front of Sing's statue. But instead, she just reaches forward, grabbing Xainan's left hand and Seir's right. Seir, you notice the cool tint of her gilded fingertips once again interlacing between your fingers, gripping tightly. Xainan, you notice her hands are sweaty. You both notice that she's shaking a bit, but she grips your hands and just holds them. She doesn't say much else. Just stands there.
Xainan doesn't pull you forward, but he does give your hand a small squeeze, Lumira, as he steps towards the statue. Looks up, down. Hey, Sprout.
Seir steps maybe half a step forward, not trying to pull Lumira any further than she's comfortable, feeling that gilded gold fingers in his hands, a matter for later. But for now, he looks up at Sing and to Nova. We're all here now, together. Sister, we're home. Nova's here.
Sitting at the base of Sing's statue, carved inside an empty urn, is a poem. A poem that you will not read, but that you know, for it has been inside you all along. And the words of that poem go like this. Look what you've done. Forgotten daughter. Her ribs spell out your hollow slaughter. Choke down tears, you wayward son. The truth can hide, your heart can run. The dragon calls for hidden truth. A crimson bird cries for sooth. The tiger stalks through darkest night. A serpent coils from fears we fight. Gods succumb and demons howl. Dark steel gleams with blood afoul. A great sage breaks a shrouded gourd. The mist spills out, its breath restored. Life is dreaming. Death is home. Cruelty spits, its spirit shone. Remember me always. Don't leave me behind. May her life inspire. May her death remind. And with that, we pull to black. And we hold on black. Until the color starts to change. This tenebrous sheet ripples with crimson, growing redder and redder and redder until we see a river of blood cutting through the heart of the underworld like an unyielding wound. Standing in the middle of this river is Queen Tsigu, the first fallen, beginning of the end, Lord of Death, sovereign on low of Yaolan, the Silver Tsilian. She is seething with rage. She is incandescent with vengeance. She reaches into her chest and breaks off a shard of her own rib, as white as diamond. And then from that same wound, she reaches in and pulls out a fragment of that sacred blade still impaled against her sepulchral heart. She drops the rib into the current of the river, drops the shard into the current of the river, and lurches a single drop of blood into the current of the river. And something inside that river of blood shifts. It bubbles. It begins to form, begins to shape, begins to become. A figure surfaces from the river, bathed completely in blood, and Tsigu smiles a terrible smile, and she says, "Arise, litany, vessel of hatred. I command you, tell me the three tenets, one of bone, one of blade, one of blood."
Show no mercy. Know no pain. Kill or be killed.
Good. Now tell me your purpose, God Killer.
I will kill the immortal Emperor, Longdu.
And on that, Arc 2 is over. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this season of the Chaos Protocol. I have been your game master and creative director, Connie Chong. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me across the internet at by Connie Chong. That's BYCONNIECHANG. I'm going to pass along introductions over to Valiant Dorian.
What the hell was that? Hi everyone, I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he him his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. And tonight, for final time in Arc 2, I have been Seir, who uses he they pronouns, our mournful son of Dune, brother of the Chosen One. I hope you all enjoyed Arc 2. Passing it over to the dad of the hour.
Oh gosh. Hi everybody, I'm Kai. You can find me all over the internet as Estella Van Ladris. And I have had the time of my life in Arc 2 as Mr. Xainan Ish. Oh goodness. And now we're home, I guess. Bounce it on over to Sam.
Hello, 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 everyone. I am Sam Star, and for the last time in Arc 2, that is, I'm playing everyone's favorite time mage, Lumira. You can find me all across the internet at Lust for Life X. That's LUSTTFORLIFEEX. And, follow me there for the show that I'm on. What's going on, boss? Take us home
It's
for the
me.
last time in Arc 2.
I know! Oh my god, I'm so emotional! So obviously, first of all, thank you all so much for tuning into Arc 2 of the Chaos Protocol. This story has meant so much to me personally, with its queer, trans, diasporic Chinese exploration of Xianxia, getting to portray a deeply complicated, very flawed antagonist, and of course, the very hot goose demon. So thank you all again so much for joining us on this journey, capital J, into grief and love once again. If you've been enjoying the series so far, get in the comments. What comments? Wherever you're seeing this. Get in the comments, talk about us, share a review of the show, make tweets or TikToks, tell your friends, honestly, even more so than Patreon. I'm not gonna say that because Patreon helps us immensely, but like in addition to Patreon, like just telling someone and getting them to watch us and like listen to us is huge. It really helps us continue to create the kinds of stories we love and share them with you all in a healthy and financially and creatively sustainable way. And speaking of health and sustainability, with Arc 2 now complete, we're going to be going on a mini hiatus for just a couple of weeks to rest, recuperate, and prepare for Arc 3. So some things you can expect during and after our mini hiatus are Chaos backstory episodes, which you all fundraise to get. They will be releasing on Twitch, YouTube, and our podcast feed in the next coming weeks. They're all recorded. We just gotta edit them. There's Honk Heist, which is going to be an all-goose one-shot GM'd by C. Thomas, our producer. There's also going to be a For the Queen Pride Month charity one-shot hosted on Transplanar RPG. As well as, of course, our Arc 2 interlude episode. I wonder what that's going to be about. There's also the official release of our first in-studio production ever. And now we're gonna reveal what the name is, okay? So we're just gonna get some hype, gonna get some drum roll going. It is called Godkiller Last Hope. Very excited about that. And of course, we have a lot of celebrations in store for our 4-year channel anniversary coming up on the end of June. It's truly mind-boggling to think how long we've been doing this for, how much we've grown, and how much we have left to travel on our journey together. And literally so much more content that we've got in the pipeline coming down fast and hot at you. So now is honestly the perfect time to get your friends to binge our stuff, because we're gonna have this mini hiatus. So it's a perfect time to catch up on Chaos and Godkiller. So thank you all so much for being here. Please stick around for the raid. We're gonna be raiding someone really awesome right now, no doubt. Use the raid message in chat. Follow us on social media. Follow me on social media. Follow my cast on social media. Join the Discord if you'd like to keep the hype and the community going. Use !point Discord in the Twitch chat. Our Discord is also at the very bottom of our website, transplanarrpg.com. And remember to trust in her will. We will see you back here soon. Same time, same place. Journey well, Transplaners.
Trust in her will.
Trust in her will.
Trust in her will. 下次见.
In her will we trust.